Hey, what's up guys? So, Uniden has released firmware 1.29 for the Uniden R7. Now, it's been a while since Uniden has released a firmware update, and there's been a lot of development on the beta side, and they're actually now going to be releasing 1.29. It's actually going to be available on Uniden's website next week once they finish updating the manual and everything, but they're releasing it early this week to RDF members. So in the video description, I'll link you guys to the forum or to my website where you can actually go and download the firmware update early. Now, on my website, I also have all the changes that we're going to be talking about here in this video. If you'd rather read over everything, you can just head on over to my website and you can just skim over all the different changes. In this video, we're going to be going over all that. Plus, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more. I know a number of you guys on the forums or on Facebook had some questions and confusion about some of the features, so I'll explain a little bit more. And at the end of the video, because a lot of you guys are just, I guess, with Uniden's firmware updates are going to have some issues updating, I'll talk about some of the most common issues that people have and how to actually address them so that you can update the detector. So with that said, let's just go ahead and dive into all the changes. Starting off with MRCD. MRCD detection range used to kind of suck on 1.24, so that was one of the biggest things that they wanted to update. Now with 1.29, MRCD detection range is now going to give you enough time for a save, and Duke's up in Edmonton has been doing a lot of testing with different versions of the betas and everything, and here's a quick clip that he has to share with 1.29.
Front MRCD.
So as you can see, now alerts to MRCD properly, and it gives you sufficient range to slow down and avoid the ticket, which is great. Now, something I will say is if you don't have MRCD in use in your area, I would recommend turning it off. You will see some MRCD falses with the setting enabled. I've got some door openers around in the area, which trigger 1.29 every single time, which is maybe kind of nice for getting MRCD displayed on screen for videos like this, but it's kind of annoying in practice. So if MRCD is in use in your area or MRCT, I'll just put the list here up on screen. Go ahead and turn the feature on, otherwise definitely turn it off. With the R7, it's going to alert to both MRCD and MRCT, but it'll display both as MRCD on screen. Now, the next update is a new feature. It's displayed in the menu. It says rear bal, and it's basically allowing you to dial back the sensitivity of the rear antenna if you get excessively long alerts from behind or maybe too many false alerts from behind. You basically have the ability now to start progressively dialing back the sensitivity of the rear horn of the rear antenna just to, well, maybe balance things out a little bit better. Now, this feature is a little bit confusing, what I found, so let's actually talk about it a little bit more and how it works. Now, the rear balance setting, it doesn't actually dial back the sensitivity of the detector's maximum setting. It adjusts based on what sensitivity you have each individual band programmed to. So here's what I mean by that. If you, for example, have the detector set to highway mode, that's going to be 100% sensitivity on X band, K band, and Ka band, right? If you set rear balance to 50%, then you'll have 50% sensitivity out the back, but still 100% sensitivity out the front. Makes sense. Now, let's say you enable advanced mode and you start selectively dialing back the sensitivity of individual bands. For the sake of discussion, let's say you set X band to 50%, you set K band to 70%, and you set Ka band to 100%. If you then set rear balance to, let's say, 50%, just for making the math easier, we're going to be pretty much reducing the rear sensitivity by half of what the overall detector sensitivity is, or let's say the front sensitivity. So we're going to be on X band, 50% sensitivity up front, because that's what we have programmed in advanced mode, but then the rear sensitivity is going to be half that, or 25% for X band in the rear. K band we have set to 70%, so the front is going to be set to 70%. The rear is going to be set to half of 70%, or 35%. Ka band, it's set to 100% sensitivity. That's going to affect the front. And then the rear Ka band sensitivity is going to drop down to 50%. So the rear balance option just affects all of the bands, X band, K band, and Ka, and there is no individual control of the different bands for the rear balance option the way that there is with the advanced mode options. I know some of you guys in the forum have requested a little bit more control, and there's been discussion on would that add too many menu options and all this kind of stuff. So if you have any requests and suggestions, things like that, I'm also going to link you guys down in the video description to a thread on RDF where people are kind of posting their suggestions and feature requests for 1.29 if there's anything maybe you'd like to be done differently, but that's how things work right now. So the rear balance, it's going to be dialing back the sensitivity of whatever you have the detector programmed to, not necessarily the detector's maximum capable sensitivity. So that's how that works. Now, Bag and Drag on the forums actually did us a solid, and he's actually put together a nice chart for us that shows you if maybe on one side of the chart you set with advanced mode the detector to a certain sensitivity level, and then across the top you set a different rear balance setting. You can then go down into the chart and match where they line up to see exactly what the rear sensitivity setting is going to be for any combination of advanced mode sensitivity and rear balance sensitivity. So that's just a quick way to kind of speed things up and take a look. Next, Uniden says that they've updated the K-band filter, or the BSM filter, to help reduce false alerts. I actually have no idea exactly what the changes are and what maybe BSMs it can now filter out that it couldn't before. I can tell you in the beta development process, as they were tweaking the MRCD detection, they had to adjust the filtering, and at one point they actually introduced some additional BSM falses that they didn't have before, and then they had to go back and kind of fix the filter and adjust it a little bit more to get rid of the new ones that they've introduced. I don't know if the improved filter is just that or if there's some other ones, especially since I've been continuously running betas for months. It's not like I've just gone straight from 1.24 for a while and jumped directly to 1.29 like a lot of you guys are going to be doing. So if you actually been running 1.24 for a while, and then you notice that maybe there's certain cars that are no longer being alerted to, the detector's filtering out, let me know down in the comments or post on the forums or on my website. That way I can kind of update the article and everything. I can tell you that it does still false to like your typical offenders, your Hondas and Acuras at 24.168. The K-block is not going to filter those. It still falses to your Mazdas at 24.124. So a lot of the typical offenders are still going to be falsing here. And even with this new update, I notice it does still false more than like your Max 360C or your Redenso Pro M. So that's kind of everything that I know about the updated K-filter, even though I don't actually know exactly what detectors or what cars it can now filter out. I've asked Uniden and their engineers for a little bit more clarification, but I haven't heard back on that. The next update has to do with GPS lockouts. They pretty much wanted to narrow down the frequency range that the GPS lockouts will lock out to help reduce the risk of potentially maybe locking out a police officer in a similar area and a similar frequency range. And so they've just narrowed down the frequency range for X-band, K-band, and Ka-band. I'll put the kind of previous and new frequency ranges for all three on screen, but pretty much it's just designed to make the GPS lockouts a little bit safer. They've also changed kind of alert priority with getting multiple signals. So let's say you have one signal locked out, and then you have a new signal that pops up. So let's say you're driving past a speed sign, which you've previously locked out, and then boom, there's another officer down the road. The detector will now always make sure that the new K-band signal will override the locked out signal and show up as your new primary signal on screen. That also makes it easier to maybe lock out an additional signal as needed, especially if the frequency range now makes previously locked out signals alert that used to be locked out to. That can happen. It's now going to be a lot easier to lock out additional signals or be notified to new signals, whether it's a police officer, a BSM, another door opener, or whatever. The new signals that are not locked out will now show up as your main priority signals on screen. Speaking of alert priority, MRCD alerts will now always take priority over X-band, K-band, and Ka-band alerts, regardless of signal strength or anything like that. Additionally, because MRCD it's used a lot on city streets, MRCD alerts will no longer be affected by quiet ride and low-speed muting, the way maybe K-band or X-band alerts will. So MRCD alerts will still punch through an alert regardless of where you have your quiet ride low-speed muting set to. There's also now a bug fix for the strength meter for those of you who use the kind of arc-shaped strength meter. It's alert display number 2 in the settings, and previously if you had a signal locked out, the arc-shaped strength meter would still be displayed in color, versus now with 1.29 it'll be grayed out just like the rest of the display. As for colors, the amber color display is now a little bit more kind of yellowish orange and less red color to kind of differentiate it more from red, so amber is now more amber. Additionally, if you're customizing the arrow colors and the band colors, those new colors will now show up in the all threat display as well, so they'll be color coded too, no longer just the primary alert. Those secondary alerts in the all threat display, Uniden has also adjusted the latch time for those as well as far as how long they stay on screen. Now the auto mute options, those have been improved as well. There's now the ability to adjust the auto mute volume levels in increments from anywhere to 0 to 7. So we have more ranges for auto mute volume levels. Additionally, if you do something weird like you set the detector's volume level to here, but then you accidentally set the auto mute volume level to louder, that would be kind of weird because instead of auto muting, it would actually get louder after a couple seconds. So they've adjusted it to where that can no longer happen. If you have it set up kind of backwards like this, so maybe your main volume's at 2, but auto mute is at 3, it'll no longer actually jump to 3 for the auto muted volume. It'll stay at the current level, which is 2. Now the voice announcements for radar and laser alerts, they've done a little bit of tweaking to make sure you don't repeatedly get the same voice announcements over and over, and so it'll now make sure that it doesn't repeat the same voice announcement within 30 seconds. So the signal itself can kind of come and go, and if it's previously seen that same signal, maybe 10 or 20 seconds ago, it'll resume alerting with the audio beeps, but it won't then give you the audio voice announcement again. There's also now been a fix if you're simultaneously getting maybe an overspeed alert for maybe a speed camera up ahead that it knows about in the GPS database, as well as a radar alert. If you're getting those two alerts simultaneously, you'll now get the detector actually switching back and forth between both the radar alert and the overspeed alert. You won't actually have one now completely overriding the other. The overspeed alert itself has now been set to alert for 1.5 seconds instead of just continuing to alert endlessly until you pass. They've also made some changes to manually adjusting the display brightness. So now if you press and hold the mute/dim button here on the side of the detector, you now enter the manual display brightness adjustment section, and it only takes 0.5 seconds instead of 1 full second to get into the menu, so you can get in a little bit more quickly. Additionally, once you're done adjusting the display brightness, the detector will go back to the main standby screen after only 1 second instead of 3, just to make the detector a little bit more responsive and not just hang out waiting on the display brightness adjustments. Now, when you press that same button during an alert to mute an alert, it'll now actually say mute on the screen in green text, just like it does for Quiet Ride. It'll now actually display when a signal is being manually muted. And then finally, when you have the detector set to the scan display mode, in the standby screen, along with the kind of Night Rider back and forth display, it also has the blinking heartbeat indicator, just like the Uniden R1 and the R3. So that's all the different changes that 1.29 has brought. Auto lockouts, again, are not available here in this update, presumably because of the pending lawsuit with Escort. Uniden isn't really commenting, again, lawsuit stuff as far as when the feature is going to be available. My best guess, it looks like, looking over patents and everything, June of 2020 looks to be when the patent expires, barring any weird extensions or conflicts with the lawsuit or whatever. So that seems to be when it should be available, but that's just our best guess. I have no idea if it's actually going to be coming out then, but I can say that 1.29 does not include auto lockouts. Now, when it comes to updating the detector, I've got a tutorial available that you can check out that walks you through how to update the R7, so definitely take a look at that. Now, that said, I kind of dread Uniden updates sometimes because I know invariably people are going to have issues updating. So let's quickly go over some of the most common issues that you'll encounter. I'm not tech support, of course, so down in the video description, I'll link you guys to the discussion area on RDF where you can go to get support, but I definitely want to make sure that you guys get taken care of. So let's quickly go over some of the most common issues that people run into and how you can address them. So first things first, make sure you grab the update software off of Uniden's website if you don't have it already. And then you can grab the firmware update itself. Now, if your computer is not able to see the Uniden radar detector when you plug it in, make sure that you have the drivers installed as well. It's another separate software package that tells your computer how to communicate with the radar detector. A lot of people skip that step, and then the computer, especially if it's the first time, is like, I don't know what this is, I can't talk to it. So make sure you install the drivers. Now, if that doesn't work, try different USB cables. I'll link you to one down in the video description that we know works. But some cables are kind of power-only cables. They don't also offer data communication, so you need to make sure that your cable allows data to pass through, not just powering like a cell phone or charging a phone. You can also try, of course, different maybe USB ports on your computer, or sometimes even different computers for whatever reason. Sometimes it works better on one computer than another. Don't know why, but that can be something that you can try. Now, something else to keep in mind, when you download the firmware update file, don't try to open the file directly. Your computer is going to try to open a .bin file with whatever its associated .bin file is worth, which is not going to work. So when you want to install the update, run Uniden's update software and then tell the update software to go find the .bin file, and the update software will open the bin file and then send it on over to the detector. Don't try to open the .bin file manually. I've seen a lot of people try to do that, and so just wanted to mention that as well. So those are going to be some of the most common things. Grab Uniden's update software, grab the latest firmware, make sure the drivers are installed, double check USB cables, try different ports, different computers, things like that, and hopefully that works. Again, a lot of times with Uniden, for whatever reason, their update process can be kind of problematic. So those are some of the most common things that I see. And then again, if you continue to run into issues after watching my tutorial video and trying all the things that we discuss here, it may happen, hopefully not, head on over to the forums, and that's going to be the best place to quickly get tech support and get your questions answered. So, whew, there we go. There's a run-through of 1.29, all the information and everything we know, how to update, what the changes are, all that kind of stuff. So let me know if you have any additional questions. Hopefully that helps to explain everything. If not, hop down in the comment area and we can take a look there, or probably the forums is the best way to learn more about it. So awesome. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.